Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for the brand new video and having a look around. We are back in the office, we're back with a black cap on the grey Nasher, and we once again have a cheeky little Rangers number on the body. We must well and truly be back in the motherland, and we certainly are. Unfortunately, a lot of the frustrations and annoyances are being brought back with me, and they're still lingering away in the background that I imagine will come out, especially when we get to the Rangers end of today's video. But we are back talking about football. We are back talking about Europe, and because it is Europe, the players will probably care a little bit more and try a little bit harder. Might just put out a good performance, which would be very nice. Sorry. For those who haven't clicked off today's video, thank you, I greatly appreciate it. I'll try and keep the nice puns to the minimum in today's video, because there is a hell of a lot to talk about. We're obviously going to look at the opposition, which is a massive game for both clubs, by the way, and that'll become more clearer as we get on. And we've actually got some new news regarding Rangers as well, regarding the CEO. We're going to break it down. We're going to discuss the foundations that are hopefully being set in this football club. But before we get to the Rangers then, let's speak and look at tomorrow's dance partner. And if you didn't mind hitting the like button at any point in today's video, that would be greatly appreciated. Or if you didn't mind sticking around, if you like the channel, or if you like the conversation, please consider subscribing and help us on our way to hopefully one day reaching 70k. But as we mentioned dance partner, when we mentioned tomorrow, let's go ahead and look at Nice then, shall we, who at my current time of recording sit 5th in their domestic league. And you know, I'm sort of laughing as I say that because it's so damn important that I mention it, because domestic Nice and European Nice are like completely different people. It's like Stanley Ipkiss before and during wearing the mask. The switch goes and it's completely different in all aspects. And I think it would be a complete disservice if I just sat here and broke down the Europa League campaign so far, because the picture that begins to paint regarding this squad makes them look a bit, to put it bluntly, crap, ladies and gentlemen, right? And that's a disservice to what is a very dangerous Nice side. We'll talk about that in the next couple of minutes. And also it's a disservice to each and every single person that's watching today's video, because if I just covered the Europa League campaign and I broke that down, everyone would go to sleep tonight, not a worry in their heart, thinking it's going to be an easy 3 points up the road, away for nothing, no matter the mess that we're currently in. But I didn't want to lull yous into a false sense of security. We're going to speak about the Europa League form because it's, honestly, it's encouraging, but we do need to address the domestic form at least a little bit, as again I think it flushes out more of what this Nice squad can actually be and the threat that they can have, because again they're sitting 5th in the domestic league right now, right? Which again, some people might scoff at, but it's a promising start. And again, they're trending upwards and they're trending forwards and looking more and more a dangerous side as the weeks go on, because you have to go all the way back to the September the 14th for the last time this squad lost a domestic game. Since that, they were on an 8-game undefeated streak with a perfect balance that would make Thanos blush of 4 wins and 4 draws, right? And one of the wins, by the way, the highest or the biggest peak that they've had, they scurried a team 8-0 trips, you know what I mean, with 7 different goal scorers. I can't even name 7 goal scorers for Rangers this season. That's how beat down mentally I've been with this season. Well, they had 7 different goal scorers in the actual game, whilst also when you look at the draws, some of them have been pretty impressive as well, as they've been against some of the tougher sides. The toughest one being, of course, PSG, the league leaders. Everyone knows how good PSG is. Well, the only thing that stopped Nice from beating league leaders PSG was an own goal from Nice in the second half, or all 3 points where I went home to Nice, and they've continued that fantastic winning run and all that as well, and the undefeated streak with a feather in the cap of beating PSG. But again, they shot themselves in the foot with an own goal, and the points were actually shared. And again, domestically, you look at it, they've got the second best goal difference in the league. They've scored the 3rd most goals. They've conceded the 3rd least amount of goals. And if you look at that run we've spoken about in terms of that streak since the 14th of September, you are sitting talking about playing the side that's the second most informed team in French football, even above Lyon, who pulled their scants down a couple of weeks ago, right? No much separates them in terms of the league, with Nice obviously just being 1 place above them and 1 point above them. But at the same time, Nice has scored 4 more goals and conceded 4 less goals than Lyon. So again, it sort of shows you the difference in maybe the quality that's actually there when they turn up. But of course, there is a different side in Nice, and a much more encouraging side, because again, domestically, very, very good. European-wise, not so great, and that's when you start to look with the comparisons of Lyon and you start to argue which team is actually better. I'd maybe argue Nice is a much more complete squad than Lyon, as Lyon spent a hell of a lot of wages that they didn't have, by the way, bringing in some proper key players. They put themselves right in a mess, and those key individual players obviously hurt us a couple of weeks ago. But if you're looking at it as a team, Nice, I would say, is stronger, but that doesn't always reflect to European football. We know that with many, many teams just coming to our mind right now when you see that domestically strong, poor in Europe. It's happened in multiple countries in multiple leagues, and I think Nice are in one of those transitional periods where they're playing well in domestic, but they're not up to date yet with the playing and the demands, the physical and mental demands, also playing in European football. Now, they played in the Europa League a couple years ago, and they did have a Conference League run, 2 years ago, but this is now a group of players that is set in playing European football than the domestic football, so that may be playing a part in why they're so strong, at least, or formidable in the domestic league, but being really, really disappointing in the Europa League. And again, the smile is building, because I'm much more encouraged to play the Lyon side that through 4 matches in the Europa League has 0 wins and only 2 points to their name with a -8 goal difference. Aye, you can unclench now. That's much, much better to actually hear about. Unfortunately for each and every single one of us, I don't know how long that will actually continue, as apparently they really fancy themselves against us tomorrow, and considering the way we're playing, so obviously you can't really doubt them. They are looking to rectify that, but again, European football has been a sharp contrast to what they've been doing domestically, as they've been poor, despite the first game in the Europa League being, I would say, a solid draw, as they got a 1-1 draw with Real Sociedad. They did have to come back into that game with a second half goal, but again, Sociedad's a good side, established side. You take that, you move on for it. I think all the damage and where Nice's European fortunes turned was weekday 2, because they were absolutely dismantled in every way versus Lazio, as they were put to the sword to the scoreline of 4-1 with the Spanish Pedro, yes, the very same one scoring in the game of football despite being 76 years old, and that clearly affected them as they carried that in to game week 3, as they were beat by Ferencváros 1-0 due to another own goal and another silly red card, truly shooting himself in the foot, as they just never recovered for that one-way pounding from Lazio. And it takes them into their most recent game in the Europa League versus Sam Lammers FC, or FC20, as they were involved in sort of a blockbuster 2-2 draw in the game where, to be fair, they were 2-0 down. They brought it back to 2-1. They then got another man sent off. However, they managed to respond and find a way by scoring that 88th minute equaliser to get back level, and that made 20 lose their head, and they ended up getting a man sent off as well. So aye, that's been it, ladies and gentlemen. You could argue now with the boost that they've got, and they're certainly taking a boost from the way they responded for 20, another home game, an opportunity to get the first win in the book. They're feeling confident, they're feeling good about themselves, but aye, it's got to be said, the Europa League campaign has been a shambles so far, and long may that continue. And you know, I think we're about 10-11 minutes in to this recap, and I think the one thing that's quite damn clear about this Nice side is they are very, very unpredictable, and they're really hard to narrow down, because again, we don't know which side we're actually facing, from the good domestic side or the one that's been almost a punch bag in European football. And that also goes to the starting 11 as well, and how they're actually going to line up. It is very hard to narrow, because the ones you would class as nail-on starters have been rotating out for European football. But again, the way I look at this Nice side is that's actually probably their strength. It's that like-for-like replacements. They've not got an out-and-out world beater in their starting 11, you know what I mean, the head turners, the likes of Lyon's, but they've got similar players at similar levels that can come in and rotate or be subbed on again and keep the level up pretty high, which again makes them, one, unpredictable and hard to narrow down ahead of a game, but also hard to break down as well, because if it works, they're very, very solid both through the first minute right to the last, because the rotations are all there, and they rotate everyone, their striking position, their winger position especially. And I think as we finish up the Nice side, I'm going to throw out a couple names for you to potentially look at tomorrow that could be a headache, or could be one of these yins you sit back and say, by God, he was wrong on that one, which would be very, very nice. But a couple names that's really grabbing my attention. Two of them will be familiar to, I think, a lot of people, and the other two maybe you've maybe not heard of, that I think potentially you might do by the time the full-time whistle actually goes. Starting off with the first one, I want to talk about Youssef Mouyoko, ladies and gentlemen, a guy that will be familiar to a lot of people that played FIFA Ultimate Team over the last couple of years. A bit of a starter squad legend a couple of years ago. If you don't know what I'm talking about, continue to do that. Do not play FIFA, protect your mental health in that aspect. But Mouyoko is on loan from Dortmund. He is a striker, can put the ball in the back of net, very good at dribbling, good at using his body, spins his man. Now he is naturally a striker, but so far for Lyon this season, he's actually been playing a lot on the wide position, drifting out on the right, playing it there, then coming inside, getting on the end of crosses where he's header. He is decent in there, but it is on the ground. He's quick movement, going after fullbacks as well, which could be an asset for them, and obviously a frustration. However, it does intrigue me because I wouldn't say he was rapid. I'd say he's quick, especially for our back line. But if he's playing on the right, I think Jeff will have him, if that makes sense in terms of a pace department. Again, Mouyoko is a bit more of a wily one. You know, his movement and that will cause Jeff a lot of problems. But pace-wise, that might cancel him out there, which would be very, very nice. Jeff's got to win that battle if Mouyoko there. Or what might actually happen is Diop, who would be someone that I would mention as being a right pain in the jack, say, coming into this game, suspended on the left. So you might see Mouyoko cross over there and go after the likes of Tavernier, where I think he would beat him in a foot race. So it'll be interesting to see when Mouyoko lights up. It could be centre, could be in the right, and it could be in the left. That's just who they are. The next player I want to talk about is someone that almost perfectly represents the picture we're trying to paint regarding the unpredictability in Nice, and that is, of course, Ndombele, ladies and gentlemen. A guy a lot of people will be familiar with, as he joined Tottenham for around about 60 million a good couple years ago. It never worked out. There was a lot of bust-ups with Jose, spent a lot of time on loan. Went to about 3 or 4 clubs, bouncing over from there before eventually joining Nice on a free transfer. That's right, for 60 million, round about that marker to a free transfer, 3 or 4 years later. His legs never fell off, ladies and gentlemen. Never declined in ability. He's always had that individuality, the ability and the skill. You hear what people say about how good he is, how hard he is to get off the ball. He just can't run. He's like Tom Lawrence, but actually really, really good. He is one to look at in this game because he's been sort of in the outskirts looking in, especially for European football. But again, this could be the type of game that he'll fancy turning up. Must-win game versus a team that they quote-unquote should beat. On paper, he could turn up the Mora and absolutely light up and look like a world beater before 3 days later gone and vanishing into the dust for the next 6 months. That's the type of career that laddie's had. But if you're talking about ability, getting the ball at your feet, picking out a wonderful pass, shooting the ball for 35 yards, hitting a volley, using your skill to win free kicks and penalties and everything like that, he's right up there. It just depends if he actually fancies it, ladies and gentlemen. But it is worth mentioning. I know he's maybe the biggest name in the team, and usually I try to avoid those, but again, he's just a perfect representation of this Nice side. They're so damn unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get, and I think that's Ndombele's entire career summed up in a couple words. Connor, Barron and Raskin need to keep an eye on him. If he does, come on, again, they'll no run away from him. I think Raskin and Barron will have him in a foot race, but again, he's so clever, he's so good with the ball, it just sticks to his feet. You've got to watch him and not allow him any space, although shots will come popping. But again, those are maybe more familiar names. There is a couple other ones you could potentially look at for the likes of Mohamed Al Chow, who is a young laddie who's really starting to make a name for himself. He's very quick, he's very direct, he is naturally a right winger, which because of the suspensions that they've got, you might see Mouyoko go over there, you might see Chow go over to the right hand side and just run, because that's a more familiar or a balanced foot race, if you will, versus Jeff. That will be lightning quick. He is one you maybe never heard of, but he has been playing especially this season, so he could be one that raises a couple eyebrows saying, who the hell is that? That's the guy we're talking about. But it is one player I want to mention, and it's no maybe their established striker, the big French laddie, 30-year-old, blah, blah, that might lead the line. It might not be this guy or this guy, or some of the names you've heard of. It's another one by the name of Evan Gisand, who I think for me, or Ivan Gisand, sorry, big Evan. Gisand is a guy that I'm looking at in this game as a Rangers fan, filling my knickknacks, if I'm honest with you, right? He's not played too many. He's only had one start in Europe, in the Europa League so far. The rest of them's been substitute appearances because, again, they've been keeping him for the league because he has been so damn good. But you look at his record so far this season, 8 goal contributions in 18 games, 6 goals in 12 in the league, and again, not all of them has been starts. This is a guy that's playing at the top of his level, that's maybe had some promise, that's maybe had some potential, but he's tall, he's quick, he's gone after it, and again, just like everybody we've mentioned pretty much, they can play multiple positions. He can lead the line, where he has done 7 times of his 18 games, or he can play on the right, which he's done 5 of those times. He can play on the left. The guy is a headache, and for me, he is the guy that must be stopped if we are going to be successful tomorrow. And for me, the way I think it's looking, if he's in the starting 11, Big John Soapy Suter needs to put in a Scotland-esque performance, if you catch my drift, because he's gonna need to be at his best, because this guy can do a wee bit of everything, and right now he's just looking like he's playing with full confidence. A year he might burn out, it might be another big expensive signing for French football. That doesn't matter what happens in the future. All that happens now is the guy's red hot in form and feeling good about yourself, and that's a couple of the players and a couple of examples of similar players in similar positions, but they will probably get some game time tomorrow. And again, they keep that level and the intensity high, and they're paying in the arses pretty much everywhere. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That's the ones for me. That's the couple of the key battles. It's the full-back, centre-back, centre-mid position in this game that needs to be won if we are going to be happy. But there's a lot of potential headaches on the old cards for Rangers. Just depends which Rangers turns up, as it is for the old Nice side. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, from the Nice preview. It's time to get over to the Rangers side. And I think, despite me carrying a lot of frustrations and me wanting to rant and rave, I've done enough of it, you know what I mean? I've done enough of it at the birthday weekend doing in London. I'm not going to bring that same baggage, and also equally, I'm not going to insult each and every single person that's tuning in to today's video, that's still watching after however long we are in the actual preview. I'm not going to sit here and say, it'd be really great if Clement starts playing his best players and drops the bad ones and do this, because we know now that is never going to happen. Clement is what he is, and we'll go where I think we're all going to go this season, right? It is more kicking the can style stuff down the road. I'm not wanting to insult anyone, I'm not wanting to waste anyone's time, so we're not going to break down now who needs to be dropped or who needs. We know now, we're not daft, you know what I mean? They could take the money for us and call us negative and call us toxic and everything like that, but we see what we see because we watch every minute of the game, and we can't be lied to any freaking longer. So we're no going to talk about that. In fact, I'm going to try and look at it from a different lens. I'm going to try and speak about something, dare I say, positive, as we finally have a CEO in the football club. Well, soon to be in. We'll get to that in a minute. But we've announced a new CEO, and that for me is just finally, you know what I mean? That weight just off me. Finally, we're actually filling some office space, and we needed somebody to go where no man has gone before. We needed a hero, and we went out and got Patrick Stewart. Oh, if this goes wrong, it could be generational memes. But back to the CEO, I never pretend to know everything about anything, you know what I mean? I never pretend to be a smart ass who thinks he knows everything. That's never me. And people that actually watch the channel knows, well, just a fan, having a conversation, saying my piece, you say yours down in the comment section. Well, that's the way it works right here. So I'm not going to sit and pretend I know everything about Patrick Stewart. You know what I mean? I have spent the last couple of days trying to read into him, trying to find out more about him and all that, try and get a bit of a vibe of him. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, yes, I've read some stats here, so I'm an expert in the old finance world. I'm not going to do anything that mental. All I will say about this appointment and that, despite, again, that generational name and possible memes that come in the back of it. One, I wish him absolute all the best. By God, he's going to be busy. And two, again, I'm a bit positive about this one, because again, when we're looking at this space and we've been waiting for months, so what's the one thing we've continually said right here on the channel? We want someone who's had experience working at a big club, that's worked at a club that's got demands of winning. I'm not talking about a youth team in the 3rd division of Belgian football or anything like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an actual club that demands winning and has got that winning mentality and has got that winning tradition, and again just got experience in and around that world. And that's exactly what we've got here. We didn't want another in-house promotion or another job handed to somebody else cutting the oranges. We wanted somebody that's been a part of that, and again, he's worked at Manchester United for over 15 years at different various levels, you know what I mean, working on the finance. Good luck with that, big man, when you're actually here. And he's worked his way up, and he was even for a short period of time the CEO of Manchester United during the transition of ownership, moving people on and getting the new ownership in, which was obviously quite a big deal, especially for the likes in Manchester United. I imagine it was a very stressful situation, but everything I've been able to find about him is he was actually very good at that role, and fired or helped move on who needed to move on, helped them smooth out all the stuff and all the baggage that comes with doing a transfer of old ownership, if you will, using an old term back in my sales advisor days. Apparently, he was pretty damn good at it, and that is what I want to hear. No risk, none of this, none of that. And I know I could be cynical, maybe point out the fact that he wasn't a CEO very long. He's not been a CEO for 15 years, CJ, and I get why people will go down that road. But again, the pressure situation he was in, what he went on to do and what he helped move over, if you at least translate to what he's actually having to do right here. Maybe know with the transfer ownership, although you just never ever know with the way this club actually goes, and rumours here, there and everywhere. But you're talking about a guy that went into the Manchester United or got bumped up to that, had to let people go, had to move on to other people, tidy up some messes and put it in a position where again a new owner was able to come in and take over. Dare I say, that is encouraging, because what's he going to need to do when he comes in to the Rangers job a couple of days after the cup final? He's going to need to come in, tidy up the mess, evaluate his staff, keep who he wants to keep, maybe let go who others, and again, maybe again facilitate new owners or new chairmen. And that it's a similar role than what he's done, and he's done it at the likes in Manchester United. So I know the memes are there, or the conversation, well, he worked at the second worst run club, because the way Manchester United's been over the last couple of years, now it's time to come up for the worst. I get why people want to go all these different routes, but again, I'm done with being cynical regarding this. Apparently he's got a very good word of mouth. Whether that translate, we'll actually wait to see. He seems to have a wee bit about him. Hopefully he's ruthless here as he was apparently on his way up at Manchester United, because that is what we need. No another yes man, it's just going to take crap. No another yes man, it's just going to listen to guys with zero experience that just are sort of just playing Monopoly back there, you know what I mean? We need somebody that knows the role, knows the position and knows how to run a club, and this guy is seemingly that guy now. So I wish him all the best, and again I'm very excited to see how it works, and again, come in, tidy up the actual mess. Now I do think it's very interesting when he starts the job. Stay with me here, as he's joining, not now, not next week, not the week maybe the week after, I forgot what day it is right now, but he is joining after the Spurs game and after the Rangers-Celtic Cup final. So he might be coming into the job needing to find a new manager, depending how that big week goes, if you actually catch my drift. So he's got a hell of a job on his hand, but again, he's at least somebody that's been at a big club and experienced some madness and mess. So he knows, and he's coming here and going, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. No, he was at Man United. He probably has seen a lot of it, and he helped tidy a lot of that up. So I wish him absolute all the best, and hopefully he does his job very, very well. So dare I say, I'm quite positive about this one. Set myself up for a fall, aren't I am. But pulling it back from the football perspective, again, we're not going to go over similar ground. We know where we are. I know people are very disappointed Clement's in a job. I'll be honest, I am as well. I was kind of hoping that, you know what I mean, with the way Gio was treated, and even the way the Bio was treated, when you look at how we're actually playing here, and the lies and the constant nonsense, no style of play, no tempo, I am feeling very frustrated. But the one thing I did notice a lot from the comment section, but if you look at the stats and statistics, we had 29 shots. Maybe it's the players' fault. Yes, it is, of course, the players' fault. But you know who's picking the players week in and week out, despite missing big chances, not getting us 3 points? It's the manager, ladies and gentlemen. So that's who I feel, you know what I mean? It's the blind leading the blind. It's just a vicious, vicious circle. The players aren't good enough, but they're still getting picked every week over boys that might be good enough, or might eventually become good enough. There's no roots being planted, there's no foundation being set. Everything we're told we were supposed to get, we aren't getting, and that's why I've become with the mindset that I've got, that yes, 29 shots and countless chances are all great in a game, and it's obviously the players' fault for missing them, but they've been missing them for a long time, yet they still get picked. There's nae repercussions, and that goes to the guy that's making. I mean, the captain running the ship is clearly the one that picking the crew, that's putting it together, and will go down with it all goes wrong, which again, quite clearly going wrong, as we seemingly are an absolute mess. But going into this game of football, there's no sort of new news in terms of breaking news, but oh, this guy's done this, or this guy's out for 7 months, which is actually quite nice and refreshing to actually say. Everyone remains the same since our last preview video, so if you watch that one, you'll know how we're actually going. And again, from the footballing world, is this a tough game? Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, are we down in the dumps? Aye. Are we fed up with a lot of the same nonsense? Aye. But it is European football, and say what you want about it, somehow, some way, rightly or wrongly, it gets these players motivated that domestic football simply does, and that's wrong, by the way, but I'll let that go. Again, I know a lot of people enjoy the European games. I'd much rather have a starting 11 that cared about domestic football, but I get European football is very, very important, and we need a result, not only for Clement's sake, you know what I mean, that's done, you know what I mean, we know how that's eventually going to end, but the club's sake needs to get qualified to the next round, earning this money and start putting things right, and allow the likes of the CEO to come in now and tidy up the shop when eventually it's done. And this is a big chance to put a big stake down and take that other massive step towards getting qualified or a playoff spot. And that's how I'm feeling, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously down in the dumps, aye, but if we go out here and win 2-1 tomorrow, am I going to be surprised? No, I'm not, because that's been our style of the story, right? You talk about how good Nice has been domestically recently, but European, they've been poor. Well, we are usually pretty good in Europe whilst being poor domestically, so it's almost like two opposites coming, or two opposites colliding. Who comes out on top? Well, I guess tomorrow we'll all find out, ladies and gentlemen. But in terms of a prediction, I am going to predict a 1-1 draw in this game, because again, I just can't pick my team to win right now, because I know Tessa's going to be starting, I know it's going to be similar stuff, and if he scores, brilliant, I'll celebrate the goal, but it's more papering over the cracks. I think a 1-1 draw again will be on the cards, but would it surprise me if we won this game? Absolutely not, because again, it's Europe, they care more about that one, and they can usually turn up, and there will be more space, there will be more chances. We just got to hope the players that put the chances fall to or end up putting them in the back of net. And I just hope for a similar performance for the likes of Cherny, because I'm frustrated a lot of people, but I think Cherny's been very good the last couple of weeks, so he's my main pick for being the standout in tomorrow's game from a Rangers perspective. I think Cherny running it that back three could cause a hell of a lot of problems, and hopefully that's the case. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comment section. Well, not only about Nice and the curious tale of them, but also the new CEO. Are you positive with that one, or do you think it's a mistake because Man United's been a bit of a mess? There's a conversation to be had there, and obviously, last but not least, prediction for this game. Try to predict Rangers this season. Have fun at that. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, which will be tomorrow after the game, very late, probably about 1 o'clock, 12:30, if I can try and get up as quickly as possible. But again, it's a European night, you know how these goes. Win, lose or draw, we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully there's a smile on the Nasha between me and thee. But until then, I've been CJ92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best, and bye-bye.